welcome to episode 3 of No Obstruction. I'm Lindsay, this is Larry, and we have another exciting guest.
Woo!
Head coach Jennifer Stone of Lafayette. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for doing this. It'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
Of course. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah. So I've been the head coach at Lafayette now. I think I'm going into year 14. And prior to that, I was actually an assistant there. So I've been in D1 coaching for about 20 years. And we're in the thick of preseason. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for taking time out of preseason to be with us today.
Oh, absolutely.
Who was your favorite assistant coach you ever worked with?
Oh, geez,
I
someone's
had
fishing.
one a couple of years ago. Yeah.
That's where we first
Is it
met.
Larry?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a surprise.
I was able to steal a good one.
Oh, that's
yeah.
so nice.
I'm really happy you're here.
Yeah.
Me too. It'll be
I learned
very
a lot
exciting.
from
This is
Jennifer. This is awesome. So I'm happy to hear your experiences and your views. It's gonna be great.
Well, you also played at Lafayette, correct?
I did. Yep. I graduated in 2004. Didn't get right into coaching. Did the business stuff for a handful of years, and then made a full kind of career change and got myself into coaching.
What made you want to get into coaching?
A big part of it was I was working in the corporate world. I was working in New York City, and I really enjoyed my job and really enjoyed what I was doing. But at the end of the day, I didn't feel as though I was kind of helping people enough.
Mhm.
So I just always I was always coaching camps and doing futures or this and that, and I just tied my passions and got myself back into coaching. So
Oh, that's great.
And you were a two-sport athlete
I
at
was
Lafayette.
field
That's
hockey
incredible.
and lacrosse. Yeah.
And same with your sister.
Yes, that's right.
Gotta give her a shout out.
Good background.
I remember that.
Yeah, field hockey
yeah.
and lacrosse.
Don't see that too often.
No, not at
No,
all. Not
you
even in
don't.
high school.
I know. You see like a couple maybe, and but there's just such value to playing multiple sports, and even with our coaching now, and I'm sure you guys are just the same, that there's so much that's applicable in other sports. So
Mhm.
concepts, team side, there's just so much value. So yeah, playing two sports was great.
I couldn't agree more with that statement. We will definitely get back to that because I want to
Yeah.
touch on that as well.
Absolutely.
So how did you transition then? Like, how did you get back into coaching after you graduated and you were doing the business side of everything? How did you?
So, I mean, quite literally, I was working in New York City, and I would commute to and from, back and forth to New York City. And the coach that I played for, Ann Gold, was fantastic. She was kind of a legend of the game.
Send it up the right.
That's right. I mean,
Right is right.
At the end of the day, the game changes, but
Yeah.
it doesn't change that much.
Right.
Yeah.
But she was at Lafayette for a handful of years. Maybe I should know it. Shame on me for not. I'm
Like,
going to say
a long
around
time.
like 30 years.
I was gonna
wow.
say 30, 35 years.
Yeah. I think right now she's the most, the winningest, most female coach at Lafayette
Legend.
in history.
That is a
Yeah.
legend,
So
yes.
the
Yeah.
point being that she left, she retired and everything like that, and a new coach had came in, Andrew, who Larry and I both know really well, and my name got kind of passed along there, and I kind of back again to the point of just having a inner drive to want to make a difference, so that made a hard decision a really easy decision because things just sort of fell into place.
Opportunity.
Yeah, that's
in,
great.
in that regard.
Yeah, a lot of coaching, especially in college, is a lot about timing.
It is. It really
You
is.
can wait, and there's some coveted jobs. They come available X amount of years, and a lot of it is timing. Who you know,
Yeah.
that opportunity's got to take it when you want it.
Yeah. I think there is. I think there is relevance to that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, it has to also be very meaningful for you to come back to your alma mater and coach.
Yeah. Yeah. It is pretty special. I get that question a lot. Why Lafayette? But I think it's a fantastic education. There's a lot of wonderful schools out there, but it's easy to speak on things that you really place a lot of value on. So I'm fortunate in that regard.
I agree with that too. What do you enjoy most about coaching?
I mean, these things, right? How often do you get asked to be
What
on
a little
podcast?
break.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is great.
No, it's a fair question.
You didn't
What do
do
I
your
enjoy?
5-mile run today. You had to go to the podcast.
No, I already got it.
That's really impressive.
You can always get it.
I'm getting in mine later.
What do I enjoy most about
Yeah.
coaching? There's a lot of different directions that, of course, that you can answer that. I think the biggest thing that I truly enjoy is, sounds cliche, but putting together teams. And within a team, there's so many different aspects that you have to piece together.
Mhm.
There's a skill aspect, there's a talent aspect, there's a leadership aspect, there's a chemistry aspect, there's a personality aspect, and then as a coach, you're basically the CEO of what this looks like. And I really enjoy pulling together different personalities, and then when you get that right, then you can just
Right.
produce these teams that are able to go on and do really amazing things if you get it right. So
Well, that's huge, and that goes with recruiting, right? So you
Yeah.
know what you're what you need in somebody to complete maybe something special on a team. So when you are recruiting, what are you looking for?
yes, again, a very valid question. There's a lot of different aspects that I look for. At the simplest form, so a field hockey coach, so you look at how the player is, what's
Right.
the skill level of the player, how do their basics look like, what's their tactical understanding, and really for a young player that just means when they're on the field, can they take in information, that translates then I think into tactical understanding. So of course there's a heavy hockey component, but in my opinion, recruiting, it's very easy to identify skill and talent, but it's harder to identify potential. When you recruit, for me, I always try and look through a lens of where's the potential within those players, and I want, hopefully, maybe the players that I think would have the largest trajectory to be in improving. As a college coach, in the Division I landscape, you work with players at a young age, so maybe we'll have 7th grade, 8th grade, not a lot of them, but they'll come to camps and clinics because all players are trying to get better, and that's really what you want. But as players develop and grow, there's certain attributes that I think you can identify with that potential, so
Right.
their hunger, their rigor, if a ball's loose, what's going to happen? Is that person running to try and grab that ball? Inherently, where's the competitiveness in that person? There's a huge athleticism side as well. The game gets faster, and just being able to keep up with the pace of the game is important. So I think with all that, I think there's of course a hockey side. I think there's a massive potential side that encompasses competitiveness, athleticism, and then there's a character point, how that person deals with adversity, how they engage with their teammates, when their call goes against them and they're walking off the field, what's their response to stimulus that can be challenging. And I think when you're putting together teams, those are, you want a little bit of everything.
What do you think about some coaches? I'm not saying anybody at this table or anything. I'm really not. But they say you're also kind of recruiting the parents a little bit. And I don't want to get you too deep in the water here or anything. But I'm just saying there is a component about how I remember when I was a college coach. There was a part of it that you look at a student athlete and you want to see how they treat their family, their teammates, staff, things like that, being good to the people that make the machine run. Like we always used to say, you have to be so appreciative of the people that work at Lafayette, from grounds to, there's so much that goes into everything.
Yeah.
The appreciation aspect of how much work goes in to running a team, and being thankful to your parents and respectful. Do you think that is something that perhaps maybe is a piece of that puzzle that you look for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be kind and being very direct and very blunt. Now that doesn't mean that you vet through. Okay,
Right.
yes
Just 'cause
and
you
no.
like that.
But
Yeah.
I think maybe for parents to kind of think about what I pay attention to is how does an individual affect an environment and what environment are they coming from. So if you just think about the term environment, then that encompasses parents, right? It encompasses guardians, it encompasses aunts, uncles. But I think oftentimes players that I think end up being incredibly successful have been brought up in an environment where they're able to deal with adversity. They can go through hard times. That doesn't mean that it doesn't mean it's a necessity, but they've been put in a place that they've been allowed to spread their wings, but also they're not bashful about taking risk and taking challenges, because then I think that player is going to more easily try. Okay, I'm going to do this thing, and it might be kind of tough, but I'm going to do it. So there's that element of the environment, and then for sure just developing mature young growing adults who know how to quite simply take care of themselves.
Well, I think
things.
something that you model very well is you, and what I've admired about you as a coach is you're super competitive. I mean, you have, like you're saying, who ran first today? We'll do the step challenge later, but
I think I'm last.
Okay. But I mean, you have that intrinsic motivation that you then model. We talk a lot about how do you coach, how do you lead. I think just the type of person you are is hope that's the type of players you have. They're very competitive. They also, I think something you do well is it's about the whole player. We want to be great at hockey, we want to be competitive, but we have to pay attention to these other things: school, family, volunteerism. How can you try to make this young lady you have for 5 years now, into the best that they can be, and that's the impact that I think you have on a lot of kids. I mean, I'm thrilled.
Thank you.
That Lenny came to your clinic,
Oh,
and that was like, I might have cried in the car a little bit. So happy to see her out there with you. But yeah, so that recruiting piece of kind of, and like you said, you can't base it totally on one or two interactions, but you want to see how someone presents themselves and speaks and carries themselves. So
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
after all, you are coaching field hockey, but you're also turning them into these young women that are going to be great after college, so that's wonderful. Going back to the multi-sport athletes, because you don't see them very much, even
Not
in
a
high
lot.
school. They just quit their other sports to focus on one sport.
Pretty early, too.
Very early.
Yeah.
And I played 3 sports in high school. I loved changing.
What were that in there?
I had to throw that in there. I played field hockey, basketball, and softball. And I loved every season starting a different sport. It was just good mentally, physically. You're working other body parts, whatnot. But I think it's still important.
Yeah,
And I encourage it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there is a point where, as a person gets closer to, there's a health in making a decision of that's what I want. I want to try and be great at that thing. I.e., I want to play Division I field hockey. So at some point there is there comes responsibility to make decisions, but I do think you keep the specialization and all of that, and I do think if a person, I think the athlete should be at the center of making some of those decisions, meaning every single time when they walk into whatever training setting, whatever game setting, if they are incredibly excited to be doing that thing, then there's your answer.
Right.
But there is such health and benefit to a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but also with an understanding of, I like the dance and I like the ballet and I like the softball, but I love hockey.
Yeah.
And they don't, oftentimes I think they don't know they love hockey until they try the dance or they try, the softball, those types of things. So I think it helps with, for a young player, clarity of decision making a
Mhm.
little bit of
That is
I
a
like
good
this, I don't like this, and then for sure just the translation of different sports and tactics. I played lacrosse, but the number of times that I'm coaching about defending and I'm referencing basketball and lacrosse is all the time.
I reference basketball too, which is
Basketball's
sad. 'Cause I was
all the
very
time.
bad.
Nobody puts their hand up
Especially for-
anymore.
I think
Yeah,
that's how I learned to play. Mark.
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
no, I was
Ball side,
I was like,
danger.
I want to play basketball. No, oh, okay.
Yeah,
but,
they all kind of go
but
into
that
each
is
other.
where you learn
Yeah.
between the basket and your girlhood. Like,
Yep.
That's for another podcast. But I also
Absolutely.
think playing for different coaches.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you go from season to season, and I think
Yeah.
there's something that goes on now with, you know, this kind of weird trend of like, well, I don't like the coach of this. I don't, you know, I play whatever basketball. We keep going with that. You know, I don't like my basketball coach. You know, and then it kind of, but do you not like them, or do you not like perhaps the feedback they're giving you? And how to try to, you know, with your parents' help and when you're in high school, I think there's a lot of that where, you know, you've got to kind of weed through that and say, okay, this person does not dislike me. This coach doesn't dislike me. They're trying to maybe help me.
Mhm.
Sure.
And sometimes I think that information gets lost a little bit. Do you have any comment on kind of like if a player kind of struggles, maybe if they're having a rough patch? We've all gone through it.
Yeah.
As a coach to a
Definitely.
player or a player
Yeah.
to a coach. Do you have any words of wisdom for a player who maybe, I don't know, isn't getting along with their coach,
Yeah.
and how you might deal with that?
Yeah, I will say that definitely still happens. I think at it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
As levels climb, I think those situations still happen. Something that I speak a good amount to our players about, and I mean not even our players, but in general, I think the relationship with feedback is a really, really important aspect to one's ability to improve as a player. And backpedaling from there, I think a healthy thing for players to think about is just identification of what are goals. What's the goal? Oftentimes those are tangible things. I want to, if it's indoor, I want to be on that team, or I want whatever it is.
Yeah,
I want
right.
to get to this level. So what's a goal? And then the opposite of that is where is your reality, i.e. where are you right now, meaning what are your strengths, what are your areas of improvement, what are your weaknesses, and that what's the line between the two. And I think players have to have an understanding of what is that line, and that line is action and feedback. So if a person doesn't have alignment between goals and where they are,
Reality,
I think that person is going to have a tough time. So for me, in terms of like coaching through some of that, I think a good amount of it comes from self-reflection.
Self-reflection. Yeah.
That then allows some of those conversations to be a little bit easier because, okay, yeah, well, I want to be the top goal scorer.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, how often are you working on forehand and backhand hitting just like by yourself,
Sure.
and
Individually.
where are you at right now with forehand and backhand hitting?
Mhm.
So when you get the coaching feedback, hey, put that ball out there a little bit, fix that left hand, there's a little bit more of an awareness of, again, that alignment
Like that
side.
reality check.
The reality
Okay.
check, yeah.
That's a good point. It's a good way of
So-
putting it.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, life lessons. You're not going to always be on the same page sometimes with a
Right.
coworker or but you got to
Right.
learn.
Yeah.
That is self-reflection is so important. Do you have one good piece of advice for a young lady who's entering into the recruiting process from a coach?
One piece of advice.
Could be more
Just
than one.
Yeah.
It could be more than
No,
one, but like a
no, one
main
is-
piece that they
yeah.
can take away.
I think a really important part within that is to, before you even start the process, I think it's healthy to have a little bit of a think about what environment makes you grow, what environment do you quote unquote want, and then the opposite side of that, what environment challenges you, but then within that challenge, is that challenge good challenge or bad challenge? Because challenge doesn't always mean bad, right? So it's important to be challenged. The long story behind that though is I really think it's important for the player to, before you start your college process, what do you want? So what do you like? What are you interested in? What are you looking for from this experience? Because I think oftentimes the moment that schools, like school names, get involved, then I think it's easy for things to, this and that and that. So it's basically a lesson in be true to yourself. What are you looking for? What do you think can stretch you? What do you think can help you improve? Throw out the title of the school. What's the environment of that
It's
school?
about you.
Yes.
Right. Your goals will be different than hers and mine, and I appreciate what you say there, because I think especially with certain deadlines and things now and dates, kids get really caught up in what you're doing, and I've got to do it, and I've got to make a quick decision, or they comparison, is the joy sometimes, so
Totally.
that can be hard not to do that, though. We all do it, especially with our 5 mile time. But
I'm last in that. I mean, you're so right though, just the name. I mean, sometimes people just flock to the name of the school, but that's maybe not the best environment for you.
Right.
And that you're setting yourself up for failure. And that's very important. No, nobody wants that. All right, so let's get to talking about coaching through the collegiate standpoint. Now, you're coaching a lot of different young ladies from different backgrounds. Some of them maybe are not as strong mentally, toughness-wise as others. How do you handle the different players when it comes to maybe giving them the confidence that they need, or?
There's a good amount, there's a good amount, I think, ways to kind of go about that. And confidence presents itself in a lot of different realms of the game. So I think probably when a person hears confidence, I would anticipate maybe the first thing that comes into their mind is, they don't have the confidence to take that 1v1 to go to goal because they're maybe not confident in whatever skill set, whatever ability. I would venture to say the majority of people think about confidence that way. There's confidence in a lot of different aspects within the team though. There's, I speak to players about confidence in just being able to communicate, right? Striker, how important is it just to being able to communicate, I'm gonna go, you're gonna hold. But, so the point that I'm telling at, confidence presents itself in a lot of different ways. The ability to speak, the ability to own a decision, the ability to lead in a locker room, right? All of those pieces are confidence. So I think when you can draw attention to that, it allows a player that probably is like, but my 1v1 skills are maybe, I don't have that confidence. It allows them to a certain extent, get on the same page with a lot of other players in the locker room and say, hey, well, actually, I'm struggling in this area for me, but there are different facets of the game. I think the biggest thing with confidence though, at least for me in terms of the coaching side, is you can't just, all right, we're gonna make you confident today. It doesn't happen. So for me, confidence comes from preparation. So it's as a coach having an understanding of where they're at within that space of, okay, I'm lacking confidence in this area. Well, all that means is you need to prepare better in that area. You need to do more of that thing. If you're lacking confidence in your 1v1, well, you need to do a lot of skills with 1v1 stuff to develop it. So I think when you can to a certain extent, draw the word confidence out of the conversation, and the wording and the word choice and nomenclature that you're using more words of preparation and adaptation versus confidence.
We used to call it, some words people use is like your super strength. Right. And so we each have a super strength, something that we're very good at, like you're saying. Maybe maybe you're a back and you distribute over distance very well. And you're also a fellow back, and you can't hit the ball like I do, but you have great,
which is
1v1 defense.
True.
No.
But go on.
That was totally just
Jeez, Larry.
No, but we have a responsibility to try to do our best with our super strength, improve our not super strengths, but also we have a responsibility to help others. Like, I'm good at something, I'm gonna help you, you're gonna help me with your strength. That's a big piece of the puzzle too, is how can we help each other?
Yep.
That's a total like technical and tactical point, not really mental, but I'm saying that super strength, I always like that word because
Yep.
it's something you're good at, it's the fallback. Now, oftentimes people get caught only doing that.
Right.
And then you're not developing those other, maybe lesser strengths.
Yep.
But
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think when your teammates help you, that's a strong team culture. So how would you as a coach cultivate a strong team culture?
Yeah, I think that culture really starts and ends with leadership.
Right.
So the cultural side for me is really, what norms and behaviors are in action within a team. So what are the norms, the realities, the day-to-days, those automatic things that happen without even thinking, those in action in a locker room and on the field, I think they turn into culture. But I think how, to answer your question, okay, how it's developed, I think as a coach, I really start with leaders and developing leaders. And then if you can develop strong leaders that identify with kind of the values that you're trying to produce, then I think that's how you create culture. So developing strong individuals that, like I said, are kind of aligned with the team goals, the team values, and then having an understanding of how those leaders can then model behaviors, model norms, and equally having players that not everyone's going to be a leader, but the ones that can see, see and do, you know. So essentially, kind of that followership is so important to developing teams.
So it starts with the leadership, which is ultimately you. Clearly, you are a great person, and then trickles down to your leaders and then the team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's great. And then do you, like when there's a conflict that happens on the team between two players, how do you handle that, or do you let them handle it?
Totally depends what it is. And this goes probably a little bit into maybe my coaching style or coaching philosophy. But there's, let's say Larry's a left striker and I'm a right striker, and we have a conflict, or I need the ball here. Those two players have to have a conversation because they need to be able to ultimately figure it out on the field. So the point that I'm getting at is some things are absolutely that from the back I may say, nope.
Yeah, you gotta go talk to her.
That's on you. Because ultimately I shouldn't be involved, or really it's not. Me getting involved doesn't help anything. And then certainly there are some things where it makes sense to have some, a coach. A coach in the room, but I think it all really does stem with, I'm fortunate because the players that I coach are broadly between 18 and 22. So I'm teaching young adults, so I'm teaching behaviors and traits of how to be strong, how to be confident, because they are soon going to go off into the workforce. So a good amount of kind of, I guess it's conflict, but it's not really conflict. It's just like, hey, how do we get better here? I really try and empower the players as much as possible, but as a coach, and Larry, you remember this, like you have to be mindful of what you get involved with, and actually, that's on you. Because that actually is how you develop the inside. If the younger sister's always running over to mom and saying, my brother just beat me up, then the younger sister's never gonna be able to stand up for herself a little bit. So have to.
I think though, of all the years I've coached and all the age groups, I tend to think one of the most difficult things to teach, and it's hard for me to understand why, but is communicating, on-field communicating for high school players. And I've gone back time and time again to say, if you don't know what to say, give the person information. This is on-field communicating. Give the person you're playing with the information of what you're doing. I'm off, you're right. If you don't feel comfortable telling the person in front of you where to go, at least give some feedback. But there's on-field communicating, and then there's off-field communicating with the coach, being able to have a conversation. The skills it's a tough thing to navigate with high school kids. It's just something I believe has to be modeled, and you have to have a solid relationship with these kids to have them trust you
Yeah.
And be confident. There's that sneaky word.
Yeah.
But on-field communication, man, someone needs to write a book on that.
Yeah.
But I buy it.
I agree.
I'm waiting for the answer on that one.
Communication is a problem in
Yeah.
every aspect of someone's life, even as they get to adults. You have problems with communication, so it's something that you learn over time, hopefully.
Yeah.
And develop in sports, which is
there
another
you go.
great lesson to take out. I have 3 big questions for you.
Okay.
That you are going to deliver for our parents, for our players. All right,
Pressure's on.
Pressure's on. What advice would you give to a young player who wants to play at the highest level?
What advice would I give to a player that wants to play at the highest level? I think that would be invest in yourself. So what that would mean would be if you want to get somewhere, then no one's gonna take you there, no one's gonna get you there outside of yourself. So put in the time, put in the investment. You know, you have a piggy bank, a Rolodex of, all right, every time I've kind of invested in myself, I'm helping get myself there. So not essentially empowering yourself and knowing that you're at the center of
You're in control
of what direction you're going.
I love that. Are you ready for the second one?
All right, number 2.
What do you hope your players remember about you after they graduate?
Oh,
come on.
Don't be modest. Come on.
I think that I would hope they would remember me as someone that helped them get to a place that they would never have gotten on their own. So that comes with someone that supported them. It comes with someone that challenged them because they needed the challenge to get there. And really, knowing that at the end of the day, the kind of the work, the grind, but
It was
that
worth it.
it was worth it. But that balance.
I'm sure they do.
You've done it.
And here it is.
You've done it.
Here it is. Now you tell the people what they want to hear.
Oh,
If you could
okay.
leave every field hockey player listening to this podcast with one message, what would it be?
I think the one message that I would say to field hockey players out there, and this would be both I think for hockey players, but really any sporting athlete out there, don't shy away from hard. That doing hard things and building resilience is such a massive part to your development and the trajectory that you can go as an athlete. So lean in and dig in. It sounds a little bit like Brene Brown. It is Brene Brown stuff, but really lean into that, because hard and challenge doesn't mean it's wrong at all. So really embracing that.
The hard makes it worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where you're at.
Thank you.
This is awesome, guys.
You did fantastic.
Good
We
stuff.
can't thank you enough for coming.
And good luck this season.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Follow
you.
along.
You guys better follow along. We're not too far
We're
away.
gonna come to a game.
Good.
For sure. There are a couple games.
I love it.
We just
Well,
want
thanks
to
for having me.
we want to thank you for coming on to No Obstruction, and we will see you on the next podcast.